Hi guys, good morning from Virginia. So myself and Brennan are in Mount Vernon. This is kind of near where her family lives. We're going to be going to George Washington's house today to take a little tour of the grounds and to kind of explore. This is going to be a lot of fun for me. I was here a long time ago and you've never been here.
I don't know why. This is only like a couple minutes away from where my family lives and I've just never visited Mount Vernon before.
We're about to have like a super historical and exciting trip, just exploring the grounds. We are going to take a guided tour, I believe, and then we're kind of free to walk around after that. As far as I'm aware, they filmed National Treasure Book of Secrets here, a little bit of it, I guess, so that'll be kind of fun to see and makes me want to watch National Treasure. Every time I come to DC, I want to watch National Treasure and I want to watch Night at the Museum because those are just the historical movies of... Okay, let's go inside. Hollywood adaptations of historical significance. That's what I meant to say. So we're heading in through the gate here, gonna get our tickets and then head out onto the estate. So there's some shops and dining areas over here. We were gonna go have dinner at this restaurant. We still may do it in the time that we're here, but that is over there. Ticket sales main entrance are over here. I already like the historical colonial looking wood and fences and everything. I'm excited, Brennan.
Me too.
I haven't done this in such a long time. All right, so we got our brochures and our ticket times for our tour. This is a giant map of the entire estate and all there is to see here. We are over here in the Orientation Center and there's the mansion right there, which is what our tour time is for. And then after that we are free to kind of like explore the estate as we want. We're probably gonna come this way so we can get a grand reveal of the mansion. And then after that, just explore as we want to. So that map was over there, and right over here are some statues of George, Martha, looks like granddaughter Nellie, and then grandson Washi. So this is pretty cool. His hand's all golden from everybody touching him and stuff. But are you ready to get going on our tour here?
Ready.
Yeah, I'm excited. There's a little shop over here. They have a lot of beautiful Christmas trees over here, by the way. And wow, look at that. Those kids are even dressed up colonial. Here's a display of the house, a model of the house. All right, heading outside, I think, into the historic area now. That was the Orientation Center back there. And we're walking along this nice little brick path, I believe, to get the reveal of the mansion around the corner over here. All right, so we just came from that path over there. And right here is a camel, and his name is Aladdin, if you'd believe it. Isn't that kind of cool?
Yeah, he's sleeping.
Now the house is right back there, so let's go get a gander of the house.
Okay.
All right, Aladdin the camel was right back there, and here we are, the first reveal of the mansion, George Washington's house. We have a tour in about 20 minutes over there, so we should probably make our way over there, and then we can explore more of the whole estate. In all honesty, the house itself is very relatively simple. It's the grounds and the estate itself that's just so much more vast that they have here. But I'm excited to get a tour of the house anyway. So I think we have to go over there for that, by the way. So what do you think? First impressions? Are you impressed?
It's so beautiful over here and it's just crazy to think that this is his whole property. Like, what's this house over here?
I mean, everything is just...
Is this like the barn, or is this like the other house?
He probably had a guest house, you know, and he had slaves here. They have a tour about specifically the slaves at Mount Vernon, so it could be that. I doubt that because I think the slave plantation was way over there, almost by the wharf, by the water. So I guess we'll find out. That's what we're here to do. Okay, so we found out where we need to go for the house tour. Where we are right now, this is 7 and 9, which is the upper garden and the greenhouse. So that's what this building is right there that Brennan's peeking in through the window to see. Okay, so this says it's the greenhouse. Before building his greenhouse, George Washington studied several designs, and the greenhouse provided a winter refuge for tropical and semi-tropical plants like coffee, orange, lemon, lime, sago palm, and aloe. During the warm growing season, these plants were kept in tubs outside in the garden. The original greenhouse burned down in 1835. The present structure was rebuilt on the original site in 1951. So that's why it looks a lot different, and it looks a little bit newer comparatively to the main house over there. So I guess if you look inside, you can see just kind of a lot of benches. I don't know if they do demonstrations inside or if they have people come and talk and speak in there. They probably do. But so that's pretty cool. Got something burning over there. And then this garden is kind of full of what looks like either cabbage or lettuce on both sides. They are growing plants here, I assume, so that's pretty cool. Alright, so that was just equipment that's just steaming, I guess. I thought it was like a fire or something like that. We're gonna go around the back of the house to see if there's anything on the other side. Right here, this is a gift shop, but Let's see, looks like people are taking pictures over here, and this could be cool. So that was right there, that was the women's slave quarters, which was really quiet in there, so I didn't talk. This is the shoemaker's shop right here, so this is pretty cool. Let's see what's over here. Looks like this is the stove room. Let's see what this looks like. Okay, so this was the stove room. This provided the heat that the palms, orange trees, lemon trees, and other tropical plants that were in the greenhouse used to survive. So, this is really cool. Alright, I think we're getting very close to our time to return to go on our tour of the house. Okay, but first I stepped inside to see the men's slave quarters here. Sorry, I don't know if you heard that at all, but that was the men's quarters right there. And then the women's was all the way down at the other end. So there were slaves that were housed over here, which is interesting because I know that the plantation was, well, maybe it's just like the slave memorial that's on the other side of the estate. I don't know, but now we're gonna definitely go on our tour because it is our time right now. Here's a nice view of the upper garden here where they have these vegetables growing. We're standing in line right over here to get our, I guess, admittance into line for our tour. All right, so this is the gardener's house. This building first served as a slave hospital and then as a space for spinning wool and finally as living quarters. So this is cool with the assistance of 2 or 3 enslaved gardeners. The care of the upper and lower gardens as well was overseen, as well as the orchards and the greenhouse. So we're in line to go inside the house. There's no photography or videography allowed inside the house. We're gonna have to put the camera away, but I'll see you guys in just a minute. So this room that we're in right now is the kitchen. This is where they would wash and dry a lot of the dishes. Right behind me, that's where they would prepare everything, and then here was kind of a refrigeration process. So this was the one part of the mansion that we were allowed to take pictures and videos in, just not in the main part of the house right over there. What did you think of that?
Oh, I was so frustrated that I was bound to like the tour because I wanted to stay in there and I just wanted to like look through everything. Like I wanted to be able to go into the rooms and like touch the beds and like, I don't know, it was so cool in there. That was the house. Like we got to see Washington's room, like where he actually passed away, and I was just like, I want to see it all.
And I wish there was more that I could remember to share about it, but the main part of the house, with just kind of a few of the viewing rooms, visiting rooms, bedrooms upstairs, that was kind of the main part of the house that George Washington's father built, and then George Washington added on over here. And over there, he added on the dining room and then his kind of study over on this side of the house. So that was a really, really cool, unique tour. I kind of asked why pictures and videos weren't a thing, and why I thought that they weren't a thing is because it kind of slows the line down because the line goes all the way back there, and it's just kind of a moving conga line through the entire house. And then also, I think they want you to buy the book. That's what the tour guide said. But it goes through the kitchen and it wraps around here. It goes in through the inside. You can see a few of the rooms in there. Then you go upstairs. You go through some of the rooms in there. You get to see George Washington's room right up there. And then you go down the stairs and then come out into the kitchen. So there's the mansion. You can see everybody filing in through the back door. Down there we came down the hill a little bit because you get a really nice view of the Potomac over here. This is just gorgeous. It's very serene, beautiful this time of year with the trees where some of them are dead, some of them are falling off, some are still alive. It's so beautiful, and we have so much to explore here because this whole property I think is 8,000 square miles, no, not square miles, that doesn't make sense. Okay, so it was 8,000 acres back in the 1700s. Presently it is 500 acres that have been preserved, so that makes a lot more sense. But now I think we're heading more over here towards the plantation area to explore this and maybe go to the old tomb and the new tomb, the present tomb. Alright, so for orientation, that's the kitchen. This is the clerk's office on this side of the building. Over here, this is the storehouse where they stored blankets, clothes, tools to the slaves, nails, copper, all sorts of other things that I guess they stored right over here. But I do want to go check out the clerk's office over here too. Interesting. So this was a living quarters for his clerk. Right next to that was the paint cellar. And one thing that we learned in the tour is that George was very into paints and wallpapers, kind of showing off his extravagancy when it came to wealth for visitors and other people coming to visit him at the mansion. So he liked his paint.
His bedroom very modest.
He did. It was more to just kind of brag and show off.
That stuff himself. He wanted to show off.
Yeah. And then over here, this is the smokehouse, I believe. So to preserve meat, they would hang them in the smokehouse out here. They would dig a pit, and I believe they'd start a fire. That's how they'd keep that meat preserved until they would utilize it in the kitchen right over there. Right next to that is the wash house. I presume where they did a lot of laundry. Yeah, it required an entire building for washing and ironing in here. The structure began as a hen house but became the wash house by 1783 with a large fireplace and a brick boiler to heat the water. Cool. This is the coach house here with a riding chair. What?
I don't know, I wasn't expecting it to be a literal chair.
Well, that's interesting. So let's see, as a young man, George Washington acquired a riding chair similar to the 18th century example you see here, alongside a modern reproduction. Wait, so is this the modern reproduction and then the one over there is the original? Popular in American England, riding chairs could travel country lanes and back roads more easily than a bulkier four-wheeled chariot and coach. This is cool. Okay, so I guess that's the modern one, and then the one over there is the one for George Washington's time. This looks like some sort of a stable over here. It certainly smells like a stable. Wow.
Actually here.
Yeah. This literally smells like horses.
What's going on here? Do they actually keep horses in here or what?
I don't know.
Or does it just smell like this over years and years of
They said that they do like recreations of things, so I imagine they keep horses somewhere around here. So this is another stable over here. He designed and had built this brick structure to replace it the following year after it burned down in 1781. So this is where they would keep the livestock, I guess, here, and then on the other side. And then in the middle is where he had his vehicles. He had several horse-drawn vehicles. So this is cool. This is an example. I believe this is a reproduction of one of his vehicles that he had. Poorly maintained roads meant short journeys were hazardous and vehicles wore out quickly. This is cool. So both this example and Washington's coach were made by a well-known Philadelphia carriage maker. All right, that's cool. All right, onward. I'm learning so much. So this is why it actually smells like livestock, because they have livestock here. They have some sheep, it looks like. This is really cool. And then a giant area over there to graze. I wonder what the purpose of having these is. I guess they also have a camel, Aladdin, back over there. Alright, so reviewing our map here, we've taken the house tour. We've seen all of these structures along the side. We're over here by the livestock barn stable area right here. You said over here, what was that? The
fruit garden and nursery.
The fruit garden and nursery. So I think the highlights over here are definitely the old tomb and then the current tomb that we can go check out.
So let's go do that. Let's just hit all the like highlights.
Okay. So fruit garden and nursery, that's this whole area right here, which is this giant expansive area. So let's head that way and then head over to the tomb area. Okay, so I think we have a plan for the most part. We have our highlights that we definitely want to do because Brennan's family is still at their house. We were gonna go do this by ourselves and then go rendezvous with them because that's why we're here, is to hang out with Brennan's family. And when we have kind of days where we can kind of branch off and do our own thing, that's when we're gonna go do it. Yesterday was actually Brennan's big Christmas family celebration, so that's what we went to last night. Had a really good time. Didn't film anything yesterday, but today's our last big day here in Virginia, and this is one of the big highlights that we definitely wanted to do. There's some more livestock over there. Over here is a trail that goes through the woods, and that looks like that's what that is, heading over towards the slave area, the housing for the slaves. We're gonna head this way over towards the tomb and the slave memorial though. Trying to orient ourselves here on the map. The Potomac is over there next to the house. Okay, took a detour over here to the fruit and garden nursery. Most of this 4-acre enclosure was devoted to an orchard that produced the apples, cherries, peaches, and other fruits needed in the kitchen. Vegetables, grains, and pasture grasses were grown in beds and allowed to go to seed, providing the seeds essential to next year's planting. Hedging plants, boxwood, and trees were also propagated here and nurtured until they reached a size to be transplanted to a permanent location. So That's what this whole expanse all the way over there, kind of next to the stable, was. Okay, so heading still in this direction then. Alright, we've reached the Washington tomb. They ask for silence and respect over here, so I'm not going to be talking over here, just kind of showcasing it.
Non, mais on va pas faire. Non, on va te aller steak et tu vas faire la forêt.
Well, not everybody was as quiet and respectable as I think that they want you to be, but we're going to head in this direction down towards the old tomb to comparatively see how that is to the new one. So we're coming out onto the wharf by the Potomac, and I think we'll check that out real quick and then go that way towards the old tomb. Okay, so again, there's the wharf over there. I believe we can continue on that way to go towards the slave memorial and the slave quarters. We're gonna go up these stairs over here and hopefully we can find Washington's old tomb up there. This really is an incredibly beautiful property. I'm enjoying the weather right now. I'm enjoying the trees, the hills, the architecture of all of the houses. It's incredible. So there's the fruit garden and nursery. There's the mansion up there. That was kind of the main road there with the barn up there. And this is the road that is the old tomb right here, actually. Okay, so this is an excerpt from his last will and testament, saying that the family vault in Mount Vernon, requiring repairs and being improperly situated, made him desire that a new one of brick and larger scale is built at the foot of what is commonly known as the Vineyard Enclosure. So George and Martha Washington, along with 20 other family members, were originally interred in the old vault, and in accordance with his new will, Washington directed the building of a new tomb. The Washingtons were removed to the new tomb in 1831. So this is the old tomb. So as you can tell, this one was a lot more simple, and it was really just kind of at the foot of the mansion over there. Oop, I'm tripping. But I think we're going to head back over towards the slave memorial over there before we kind of wrap it up and head on out. Alright, so we're approaching the other side of the Washington tomb right over here. There's the fruit garden and nursery. We're going to bypass this and go over towards the slave memorial, which I think is adjacent over there on the other side. Alright, so now we are approaching the slave memorial, and there's a sign saying to approach with silence and respect as well. So slavery at Mount Vernon. In 1799, this estate was home to a community of 317 enslaved men, women, and children who had no choice but to live here. Most of these enslaved people lived and worked on the 4 outlying farms as agricultural laborers. So in George Washington's will, it stipulated that upon Miss Washington's death, they would be freed. So she freed them early on January 1st, 1801. The remaining 194 people remained enslaved after the deaths of General and Mrs. Washington, which I'm pretty sure she died just a couple of years later. So the Mount Vernon Ladies Association is the group that privately owns and renovates Mount Vernon. And in 1929, they placed a marker noting the location of the slave cemetery, believed to be the first commemoration of its kind at a historic site. So that's what we're going to go check out over here. So this specific slave memorial, I don't believe, was the original, but this is one that was instituted in 1983 by the Mount Vernon Ladies Association. So this is the slave cemetery, though, and it looks like a archaeological survey began in 2014 to understand the cemetery's size and organization. And this is in memory of the many faithful colored servants of the Washington family buried in Mount Vernon from 1760 to 1860. Their unidentified graves surround this spot, 1929. So it looks like this is the archaeological survey being done, but the sign up there said that there are no graves being disturbed during this process. So that's interesting. Okay, so the graves were up there, and now we are heading down towards the Pioneer Farm, the barn, and the slave cabin, which is kind of way back in the back here. It is getting really, really serene as we head more over towards this side of the estate, and it looks like it's down there, actually. So I did mention that this estate is privately owned and operated by the Mount Vernon Ladies Association, and because of that fact, this isn't affected by, right now there's the government shutdown going on, and when we went to the Natural History Museum the other day, it was really busy. We were wondering why, and that was the reason, because that was one of the last days that the public could get into the museum because of the shutdown. It was going to be affected by it, and they couldn't go inside it after, I believe tomorrow is the last day that people can go into the museum. Either tomorrow's the last day or it starts tomorrow, one or the other, but because this is privately owned, we can come and enjoy this, and everybody else can too. Okay, so this is the Pioneer Farm, which stretches all the way from, I believe, the Potomac, which is right there, all the way down to the slave cabin, and then the barn, which is back there as well. So we're gonna check out the cabin over here. Looks like there's a lot of tool storage over here. I'm assuming some livestock would have been over here as well. What's in there?
Just wood storage.
Just storage? So this makes a lot of sense. This building right here, this is the barn. Over there, that is the slave cabin. I don't know why I thought this was the slave cabin.
What's the slave cabin?
It's right over there. Yeah, that little one, which makes a lot more sense. So this looks very new, by the way, just the wood that they have outside. So innovative barn. George Washington was always looking for ways to improve his farming operations at Mount Vernon. To this end, he designed a novel way to improve the processing and storage of grain at his farm. So a 2-story, 16-sided structure was built in 1792 through 95 with a circular treading floor on the second level and a granary or storehouse on the ground level. So this is really cool. I guess this is where a lot of the livestock would be, in here, and then on the first floor down there, and then that's where the tool storage would end up over here on these sides. See how new that wood looks over here and over there as well? We came around on the other side here, and it says to protect the health of your animals, of our animals, and for your safety do not offer food of any sort. So I guess they did have animals grazing over here. So I guess just this entire area is encompassing livestock area. Is there stool on the ground?
Yeah, and they definitely have kept animals in there at some point because there's poop everywhere.
Yeah, I was just showing this off. This is just another enclosure for animals.
Okay.
So I was saying this whole area is just the barn and livestock area. Let's see if the camera agrees to the lighting down here. You can kind of see in there. Not a lot of room, but they did have animals in there and on the first floor, as I understand it. So something that they mentioned on the tour of the mansion was how much of a farmer, a visionary farmer that George Washington was, which I thought this was really interesting. While the world remembers him as a great military and political leader, George Washington would have told you that he was first and foremost a farmer. So that was something that he held very important to him in the functionality of his estate here. So I thought that was really, really interesting, but we're gonna go check out the slave house over here now. Kind of sounds like somebody's chopping wood over the hill over there, but this is the slave enclosure. Got some produce over here, it looks like, and a chicken coop. This looks relatively new comparatively to other structures as well. Okay, so this cabin represents dwellings inhabited by enslaved people who worked on Washington's outlying farms. Groups of cabins were arranged opposite an overseer's house, and an overseer was like a farm manager, I'm taken to believe. So that was something that Vernon was bringing up, because we've only seen this dwelling and then the one that was over by the Washington's house. And if there's 318 slaves that were here, where did they all go? So this is just a representation of the kind of dwelling I believe that they would just have across the property in various locations that are obviously no longer around. All right, so now we are heading up a trail through George Washington's forest here, back to the main part of the estate over on the other side of the hill over there. Now this is just a beautiful trail. They put a bunch of these signs periodically throughout the trail just to kind of inform you about the types of trees and agriculture here on George Washington's property, which that's really cool and beneficial and helpful. So that sign back there said George Washington was 6 feet and 2.5 inches tall, and for the 1700s that was like a giant. That was a monster. And seeing his bed, like in his bedroom, was really tiny.
Yeah,
that poor guy's feet must have hung off the end. Yeah.
And like what I was pointing out was, as soon as you leave his bedroom and go downstairs, there's a part of the stair wall, like ahead, where I have to duck to get under it.
Yeah, like going down the stairs, you had to like do this to go underneath the lip of it, which, and I'm 5'10", so he's 4.5 inches taller than I am. So we're about to head over this bridge back over to the main part of the estate. There's some livestock over there, and this is really high off the ground. There's actually a little running brook down there that this goes over, which that's really interesting too. All right, I think we've pretty much seen all that we wanted to see of George Washington's estate. There are a few areas that we didn't fully get to experience, a few gardens, a blacksmith area, but for the most part we got to see pretty much everything that we wanted to see at George Washington's estate today, which is really, really awesome. I'm really glad we got to do it. One of the locations that we didn't get to is the lower garden over there that's right next to the mansion, but we're gonna head out. We want to grab some lunch, and luckily there is a restaurant, like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, that's right by the Orientation Center. Looks like this is the Donald W. Reynolds Museum and Education Center that we're heading into right now. So before heading to lunch, Vernon and I stepped into the George Washington Museum here to walk around a little bit. This is George Washington as a surveyor at 19 years old. This next room is about the French and Indian War. And then on display over here is a sword dating back to 1753, in which a 21-year-old George Washington got his first military appointment as a major in the Virginia militia. So there's his sword right there. So over here, this is a representation of a dress that would have been worn by Martha Washington. This is a reproduction of shoes. These earrings are said to have been owned by her, but it looks like the necklace was owned by Martha Washington, so that's the true item here that's of interest. There's a lot of artifacts and displays that are hard to showcase because there's a lot of them in this museum, but basically this museum just kind of showcases the timeline itself of George Washington, how he became a colonel, onto a general, onto a president of the United States. Right over here, this is the Revolutionary War Theater, which apparently is a 4D experience, so that's pretty interesting. So there's something going on over here where you can sit down at a bench. You have a little touchscreen computer in front of you. This is interesting. That experience, whatever that was in there. There's also a door over here that says the Battle of Second Trenton starts in 15 minutes. So there's a lot of experiences in this museum, very interactive. There's also a room in here called Hands-On History, where it looks like you have to make a reservation in order to go inside, but they have a lot of interesting displays in there. I think this is more family-oriented. So this area was about crop production, and there was a display about slavery, but this area is the one that I was really, really interested in. If it'll focus, there we go. Now, although he was a man of exceptional physical stature and stamina, George Washington suffered from chronically bad teeth. Despite frequent brushing and availing himself of the finest dental care, he suffered through a lifetime of inflamed gums and obsessed teeth. His torturous, oversized dentures left his mouth puffy, raw, and swollen, giving him little reason to smile. And then right behind that is a display of George Washington's teeth. A lot of people think that George Washington's teeth were wooden, but it was a lead base fitted with cow and human teeth, elephant ivory, brass, and steel. So there they are, George Washington's teeth. That's why I wanted to come to this museum today. This is George Washington's inauguration as President of the United States at age 57 in 1789, 10 years before he ended up passing away. And this last section is about his obvious rise to the presidency and then his legacy that he left afterward as the President of the United States, and just how he set the standard for the president going forward. Alright, so we just came out over there. Now we're entering into the food court area. There is, I think, a more traditional restaurant area, but we might just get something quicker here. So Brennan went over there to the Papa John's. I'm in line for the grill. There's also a deli over there as the options. This seems to be the popular one. Alright, so we got our food here. I got a burger, and Brennan got some mozzarella sticks and a cheese pizza. And we just gotta wait in line to check out and go find a table. Alright, so we got a table here. Time to eat our authentic George Washington, Mount Vernon Pizza Hut and cheeseburger. You got mozzarella sticks, right?
Cheese bread.
Cheese bread. Oh, well, same thing. I was a little bit worried because my line was so long, but the lady that was back there who ended up jumping on a register to make that line go down really fast, she was really efficient, really nice. And I got this actually pretty quick. You had to wait a while for your cheese sticks. So here we go. That's delicious. All right, on the way out, we're gonna touch George Washington's nose for
Is this like a thing?
good luck. Yeah, you touch a big nose for good luck. So we're heading out. The food court was over there. There's a gift shop over here, a gift shop over here, and then a really big gift shop over here. They sell little toy guns and they sell all sorts of stuff. Right back there, that is the Mount Vernon Inn restaurant, which was actually closed today for some reason. That's the one that we wanted to go to, but it was closed anyway, so we went to the food court. Got lucky. Okay, so that concludes our trip to Mount Vernon today, to walk around, to educate ourselves and inform ourselves about some very important parts of American history. I don't know about you, but that was very enlightening in a lot of ways. It made me think about a lot of things that I haven't thought about before, and it encouraged me to want to kind of research some other parts of American history that, you know, I think that's the point of those kinds of things, just to make sure that those things stay alive and encourage us to be educated on them. Did you have fun?
Yeah, this is the way I like American history. You know, sitting in a classroom and reading it out of a book is not fun for me, but you know, when I can go and do the tangible things and be a part of the American history that I'm learning about, makes it more involved and interesting for me.
Well, I guess that's going to be the end of our trip today. So thank you so much for coming with us and letting us take you on a journey through Mount Vernon through our eyes. This was just kind of our little breakaway activity from Vernon's family, who's hanging out back at the house. Everybody's kind of sick.
Yeah, we're all sick.
You're coming around the corner from it. I'm doing okay somehow.
I just sound bad.
Yeah. So we're gonna go back and join them, maybe do something tonight for dinner. Don't know if I'll bring this along. I've been just kind of taking this on our little outings that we've been having every other day or so. Tomorrow we head back to Orlando though, and it's gonna be a long drive. It's gonna be all day tomorrow and then half the day after that. So gonna have a good time. Maybe I'll film something tomorrow, something along the way. We'll see. Tomorrow's technically New Year's Eve. Well, not technically, it is New Year's Eve, so we may just do something for New Year's Eve or just kind of hang out and enjoy each other's company. We'll see.
Yeah.
But have a good day. Thank you for watching. See you soon.
Bye.